So we are back on this book by Sam Palatnik, the Chess GPS. The book number 1 of the series of 3 books is based on improvement, and not your personal improvement, but improvement of the position, because the improvement of the position in the author belief is that will give you the win in a chess game. Now the funny thing is this, that while I was trying to understand more about Mr. Palatnik, that is a grandmaster, I found out that I have another of his book, Sam Palatnik and Mark Aishi, because sometimes I buy chess books that I don't have the time to read, because unfortunately I have a kind of busy life. But this was just $5. I don't know if you can, no, you cannot see it. However, believe me, I just paid $5 for this book. It's full of Palatnik games, and it's very, very interesting, because the idea of this book is that one badly placed piece makes your whole position bad. However, for today, we will see game number 2 from the Chess GPS, that it's about improvement. Also, this game was played in the south of US in 2001 in Huntsville. So Palatnik was white and Bereluz was black. I don't know who is Bereluz. It would have been nice, for example, to put the rating of the black player, so one has an idea, because we know Palatnik is a grandmaster, so maybe it's 2500, maybe a little less, it depends, but we don't have any idea about black. So d4, g6, c4, knight f6, knight c3, bishop g7, e4, d6, and once more we have knight e2. Here there is again a diagram, and it says we can recognize this position from the previous game. Okay, castle, f3, and c5, so immediately attack. This looks like an improvement next to the game against Booth. It makes one think that Bereluz has used computer preparation and is familiar with the previous game. Wow, interesting. But this is 2001. Yes, ChessBase was probably already available to the masses. d5, e6, knight g3, e takes d5, c takes d5, e6, and once more a4. So as you can see, there is the fight for this b5, right? This is played automatically here, he says. Knight bd7, bishop e2, and look, h5. Wow. So this is a great book, because it's building a pattern recognition for us, and it shows us when black is doing the right moves, how white must overcome that. And here it says, here we see one more example of 4-ohm preparation. White can no longer automatically castle here. And remember that chess is a game of choice. Here white can make a choice towards making the most important move in order to improve his position. Okay, so what is the most important move in order to improve the position? So let's see, what would you play as white in this position? We are at move 12, so probably still theory, right, by now, for sure, compared maybe to 2001, 23 years ago. White played bishop g5. Now bishop g5, it's interesting because obviously pins this, but what really does is to prevent this, because like I said, I didn't know if black wanted to play knight h7, but it makes sense also this and then this, so you go through, you try to break through the king side. So this bishop g5 is the move. And now he says, in comparison with castle, this bishop g5 does not allow the h-pawn to advance any further, forces the knight into a corner, ties up the knight on f6, and simultaneously prevents both the knight and the bishop on g7 to become active. So this move is really great because it keeps this passive and prevents the push. Let's see what else he says. But it allows the possibility of focusing the efforts on the queen and bishop battery on c1, h6. Like I told you, this was a move that made sense to me, right, in the previous game. Which is in itself an accomplishment, but also creates the possibility of a King's Indian defense fianchetto on g7. This seems like a lot of positive. I don't know what he means with the possibility. Is already fianchetto there. Here we can make yet another generalization. We will try to rely on the opinion of the highly authoritative chess thinker Mikhail Botvinnik, who said, if you are ready to castle, look around, maybe you will find something more useful at the moment. Yes, we want to castle generally as soon as possible, because to keep the king in the center is a danger, right? But you must also understand if there is another move that is better, then you play it, right? So again, in chess you need to think. You don't think, I'm sorry, things are not going well. Notice what the black does. He plays queen e8 at this point. So he's attacking the center because the king is still in the center, okay? And white at this point keeps still open the possibility to play something else, and he played queen d2. Now this is unpinned, right? So you want to move it away to make this bishop active. Boom, knight h7. But since the queen is on d2, now white can try to enter with bishop h6. Bishop takes h6, queen takes h6. And queen e5, trying to keep some control on the dark squares, right? But here there is a diagram. So it means you must stop and try to find white's move. What is the white move for best white move? Again, not a flashy tactic. You need to think. Okay? So, in the game he played knight f1, but he said, again, this is a good time and place to play tribute to Botvinnik. What did Botvinnik say? He said, if you are ready to castle, look around. Maybe you will find something more useful at the moment. The automatic move castle would take away the nice time and knight path from g3 to f1 to e3 to c4. So here there is a really incredible maneuver. Tac, 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 boom, wow, amazing. So this is why you need to play long time control, because this kind of maneuver can come to your mind only if you have time, compared to blitz and bullet that we all love, right? This in turn would give black the ability to simplify the position with exchanging the queens after queen g5. So if you play this, it's a mistake, because black will try to exchange the queens and make it easier for him. Instead, he says knight f1 prevents that. I really don't know how, but it's interesting to see. Okay. So why black cannot play this at this point, if that was the goal? Well. Rook b8 was played in the game, and now very interesting. Now he plays this instead of knight e3. Knight e3, he could play this attacking this, and attacking this and attacking this, so he would maybe exchange the queens. Instead on d2 you don't care so much because the knight is protected. Yeah, but let's see what he says. Again, white has made the right choice on the path to improving his position. It could seem that the c4 square could be reached even through e3. However, GPS is showing that this way is mine. Okay, so let's see why now knight e3 is not what they said it could be. Because there is b5, a takes b5, a takes b5, oops, bishop takes b5, will be an explosion. Why? Because black will play, boom, rook takes b5, knight takes b5, and queen b2. And black is winning. So he's attacking this, he's attacking this, it's kind of problematic, right? And he doesn't really have, this is out of the game at the moment, so I don't know how good is that queen. Yeah, I do believe that black's position is really good compared to white. So let's go back to the position where all started, this knight f1 with rook b8 and knight d2. Okay, I believe I put the pieces in the right position. So knight f1 was the move, rook b8, and here he played knight d2, showing us that knight e3 wasn't the good move that we thought, but knight d2 was better if you want to reach c4. Now black continue with queen f6. He show us another line where b5 he says doesn't work, but again I'm not going to show you everything because you also need to buy the book, right? So the author has made some analysis that prove his point, but again he probably need to put bread on his table. So I like to show you the books because I find them very interesting. I don't give you everything because after all the author should be paid in some ways, right? So queen f6, castle, and knight e5, and here there is once more a diagram, and again I tell you, pause the video, try to find the move for white. If you have followed the previous video, you will be familiar with this strange move that white plays, and that in the previous video was said to protect the pawn b2 and to be able to double the rooks, and also to protect this diagonal. So the move is rook f2 that was played also in the previous game. Bishop d7, and now again another move that we have seen in the previous game, okay, rook e1, and here the author tell you why a5 is not a move that would have improved white's position, but once more, in order to know why, you need to buy the book. b5, f4, knight g4, bishop takes g4, h takes g4, and here you could pause again because sometimes there are, here he didn't put, he put a diagram after this move, but I think it's interesting because sometimes some breakthrough need to be fought, and so you should think about this position. e5 is the move that white has played, and here it says white has collected enough advantages. This breakthrough in the center, which was set up by his 20th move, the 20th move was rook e1, okay, so he moved the rook from here to here, that was the idea, will bring white much deserved success. Now the game continues with queen g7, queen takes g7, king takes g7, a takes b5, bishop takes b5, knight d, e4, d takes e5, f takes e5, and now there is c4. I don't know what's the meaning of that move. Knight d6, knight g5, and rook f4, and here there is a diagram, and it says now comes the time for collecting the harvest. Bishop d7, rook e2, so it defends that, rook b4, rook e f2. So interesting, in this game we see a doubling on the f file like I mentioned on the previous game, but in the previous game white double up on the e file. So okay, maybe this should have been explained. f5, just checking the knowledge of the en passant rules. E takes f6, yeah. King g8, rook takes c4, rook takes c4, knight takes c4, and bishop f5, cutting out this, right? Knight e3, g3, wow. H takes g3, and here it's funny how in the book was I mean, look here, all these moves in just this place when maybe they could have been spaced up a little, right? I don't know why. Okay, king f7, knight takes f5, g takes f5, rook takes f5, king g6, g4, knight h7, and I don't know, here it's given a line, so maybe it was a comment, in case instead of this he played this, but he made it all bold, so it was clearly editorial mistakes, right? Because if you take here, white will take here, okay? Take and knight e4 is a check, and white wins the endgame probably. So he played knight h7, knight e4 supporting this, and rook b8 and f7, and black black loses, he gives up. So this must be what happened in the game. Let me show you once more the problem here, okay? If you play in this point this move, and here was the thing, white will play this, okay? You play this, check, I don't know, you go back, take, and the problem is 4 pawns against 1, okay, but the problem is, can this block both of them? Probably not, right? So you must be kind of careful. Like, let's say he does this, you do this. It takes, do this, takes, do this, tack, he blocks it, right? So probably white is able to win the endgame, but must be a little more careful than what I just did, right? Okay, so however, it was a very interesting second game. We will continue to see from this book in the other chapters. I hope you enjoyed it. I honestly am very happy because for $5 I'm watching some very interesting games, and of course probably I have to improve a little my endgame knowledge. So if he plays this, probably this is not the right move, right? He needs to play something else. So maybe this takes, and this takes, and then you have a problem, right? So track, what does it do? Because he needs to stop that, but he cannot stop the other side. Let's say if he does this, you gain control of f5, and so it's over. If he does this, probably you go for this pawn and the game is over. So it was probably to activate the king was the right thing to do. Again, I'm not using a computer, that's the great thing, because you will not be able to use a computer either in your chess tournament games, right? So we need to learn the endgames too, but God forbid that we learn the endgames. In fact, I have noticed that my videos on the endgames have very few views because nobody likes to learn the endgame. So thank you very much, and we will continue with another video.